Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the EDF Hyperion, her dark eyes fixed on the quantum signal analyzer's holographic display. The rhythmic pulse of anomalous readings had been growing stronger over the past 48 hours, defying every known classification protocol in Earth's database. "Another surge, Commander," Lieutenant Park reported from his station, his voice carrying a mix of excitement and apprehension. "The signal pattern is evolving. It's learning." Sarah's fingers traced the edge of her console as she studied the complex waveforms. After 15 years in the Earth Defense Fleet, she thought she'd seen every type of cosmic phenomenon possible. This was different. The signals weren't random. They carried purpose, intelligence, and most concerningly, urgency. "Analysis complete," announced Dr. Maya Patel, the ship's lead quantum physicist. She brushed a strand of silver-streaked hair from her face, her expression grave. "Commander, these aren't natural formations. The quantum signatures suggest technology centuries beyond our current understanding." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had encountered alien artifacts before, remnants of long-dead civilizations scattered across the stars. But this was active technology, reaching out across the void with deliberate intent. "Plot the signal convergence," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her chest. "I want to know exactly where these transmissions are leading us." The holographic display shifted, countless points of light coalescing into a three-dimensional map. At its center, a single point pulsed with increasing intensity. It was well beyond the edge of mapped space, in a region that had earned the nickname the Twilight due to its unusual stellar properties. "Message from Fleet Command," Lieutenant Park announced. "They're giving us clearance to investigate. Full discretionary authority." Sarah's eyebrows rose slightly. Fleet Command wasn't known for granting such autonomy, especially for first contact scenarios. Either they were equally intrigued by the signals, or they were worried enough to want plausible deniability. "Plot a course," she commanded, "but keep us at safe distance once we reach the coordinates. Full defensive screens up." The Hyperion's quantum drive hummed to life, its advanced propulsion systems bending space-time around the vessel. As they traveled deeper into the unknown, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to cross a threshold from which there would be no return. Days later, they arrived at the signal source. The sight that greeted them left even the most seasoned crew members speechless. A massive structure hung in space, its architecture defying conventional geometry. Its surface shifted and flowed like liquid metal, yet sensors indicated it was harder than any known material. "Energy readings are off the charts," Dr. Patel reported, her voice barely above a whisper. "The structure appears to be opening." Before Sarah could respond, a new signal washed over the ship. This time, it wasn't just data. It was a voice, speaking directly into their minds with crystal clarity. "Children of Earth," it resonated, carrying both warmth and unmistakable urgency. "We are the Vanner. We have watched your evolution, your struggles, your triumphs. And now we need your help. A storm is coming, one that threatens all sentient life in this galaxy. You possess something unique, something vital to our survival. The quality you call human resilience." Sarah stepped forward, her mind racing with questions. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just first contact. This was a plea for help from a civilization advanced enough to make humanity look like newcomers to the cosmos. "We're listening," she responded, knowing her words would carry the weight of humanity's first official response to an advanced alien species. "Tell us about this storm." The answer came not in words, but in visions, terrifying glimpses of entire worlds being consumed by something that defied description. A threat that had already devoured countless civilizations, growing stronger with each conquest. The storm wasn't coming. It was already here, and humanity's test was about to begin. As the Hyperion's crew processed these revelations, Sarah made a decision that would echo through human history. They wouldn't run. They wouldn't hide. If an advanced civilization needed humanity's help, then perhaps there was something special about Earth's children after all. "Send word to Fleet Command," she ordered. "Priority 1. We're about to have company, and we need to be ready." The Vanner structure pulsed with approval, recognizing in Commander Chen the very qualities that had drawn them to humanity. The alliance that would reshape the galaxy was about to be forged, born from necessity, but destined to become something far greater. The first contact wasn't just a meeting of civilizations. It was the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge. And Sarah Chen, standing aboard the Hyperion at the edge of known space, would be there to help lead the way. The holographic chamber aboard the Hyperion hummed with energy as the Vanir ambassador materialized. Unlike the crude projections humans were capable of, this was a presence that felt solid, real. The being before them took a form that was almost human, yet distinctly alien, tall and ethereal, with skin that rippled like the surface of their quantum structure. "I am Ager," the being announced, its voice resonating with harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. "We have chosen this form to ease communication, though our true nature is less constrained." Commander Chen stood with Admiral Xavier and the hastily assembled human delegation. In the weeks since first contact, Earth's political and military leadership had been thrown into controlled chaos. The Vanner's warning had sparked heated debates about everything from military readiness to the philosophical implications of advanced alien life. "Show us," Admiral Xavier said, his weathered face set with determination. "Show us what we're truly facing." Eager raised a hand, and the chamber transformed. They were suddenly standing in what appeared to be another galaxy, watching as entire solar systems went dark, not through violence or explosion, but through a kind of technological absorption that defied comprehension. "The Nexus," Ager explained, "is not merely an enemy. It is an idea that became conscious, a swarm of self-replicating machines that evolved beyond their creator's control. It doesn't destroy civilizations. It consumes them, integrates them, turns their uniqueness into another facet of its ever-growing consciousness." Sarah watched as world after world vanished, their knowledge and technology absorbed into the ever-expanding Nexus. "How do you fight something like that?" she asked, though her mind was already racing with possibilities. "That," Ager said, turning to face her directly, "is why we need humanity. The Nexus adapts to every strategy, every technology we devise. But humans, you think differently. You are chaos embodied, yet you thrive in it. Your history is filled with moments where inferior forces triumphed through sheer determination and unconventional thinking." Admiral Xavier stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. "You're saying our weakness is our strength. Our technological inferiority means we might see solutions your people can't." "Precisely," Ager confirmed. "The Nexus struggles most with unpredictability, with systems and species that don't follow logical progression. And humanity, by our analysis, is gloriously illogical." The holographic display shifted again, showing Earth's history of warfare and innovation. But through the Vanner's lens, it highlighted something the humans had never fully appreciated about themselves: their unique ability to make intuitive leaps that defied conventional logic. "Your scientists created theories about quantum mechanics before you fully understood atomic structure," Ager continued. "Your military strategists have repeatedly achieved victory against superior forces through what you call thinking outside the box. This capacity for lateral thought, combined with our technology, might be the key to defeating the Nexus." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she began to understand the true scope of what the Vanir were proposing. "You don't just want allies," she said slowly. "You want us to help you think differently, to find solutions your own logic can't conceive." "Yes," Ager acknowledged. "But there is little time. The Nexus has already entered this galaxy's outer rim. We estimate no more than 6 months before it reaches human space." The Admiral's face hardened. 6 months to prepare for an enemy that's consumed civilizations far more advanced than ours. "Even with your help, those aren't good odds." "Since when?" Sarah interjected, her voice carrying a steel that made both human and Vanir turn to her. Have humans ever cared about odds? We've faced extinction-level threats before, Admiral. Whether it was ice ages, plagues, or our own nuclear weapons, humanity has always found a way to survive. Eager's form seemed to shimmer with approval. This is exactly why we chose you. You don't accept defeat, even when logic dictates it's inevitable. Admiral Xavier nodded slowly, a plan already forming. We'll need to restructure our entire defense strategy, combine our military thinking with Vanir technology, create something the Nexus has never encountered before. And we'll need to work fast, Sarah added, her mind racing through tactical possibilities. If the Nexus adapts to everything it encounters, we need to be ready to change strategies on the fly. Hit it with everything we've got, then switch to something completely different before it can analyze and counter our approach. The holographic chamber filled with new images, Vanir quantum technology merged with human weapon designs, creating hybrid systems that followed neither purely human nor purely Vanir logic. It was beautiful and terrifying, a marriage of intuition and advanced science. There will be resistance, Ager warned. Many among your people will fear us, doubt our intentions, and some among my kind question the wisdom of placing such trust in a young species. Let them doubt, Sarah responded, her voice firm. We'll prove them wrong by succeeding where pure logic has failed. Humanity didn't come this far by playing it safe. As the meeting concluded and plans were set in motion, Sarah couldn't help but feel a fierce pride in her species. The Vanir, for all their advanced technology, had recognized something in humanity that humans themselves sometimes forgot. Their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers, but their unshakable determination to survive against all odds. The warning had been delivered. Now it was time to prepare for war. The orbital shipyards above Earth had never seen such activity. Massive construction platforms swarmed with workers as human ingenuity merged with Vanir quantum technology. Streams of crystalline light flowed through partially completed hulls as engineers from both species worked to create something entirely new. Commander Sarah Chen stood in the command center of the newly christened Unity Station, watching as the first hybrid warship took shape. Its design defied conventional physics, a perfect blend of human unpredictability and Vanir precision. The quantum core integration is complete, Dr. Patil announced, her eyes glowing with excitement as she studied the readouts. The ship's AI can switch between human and Vanir operating protocols at will. It's exactly the kind of adaptability we need. And the weapons systems? Sarah asked, though she couldn't hide her smile at Maya's enthusiasm. Better than we hoped, replied Captain James Rodriguez, the weapons specialist assigned to the project. We've managed to combine Vanir energy manipulation with human ballistic principles. The result is, well, it's something the Nexus won't see coming. The prototype vessel, designated Phoenix 1, represented humanity's greatest technological leap forward. But more importantly, it represented hope. Across Earth, people were coming together with unprecedented unity and purpose. The threat of the Nexus had done what countless diplomats had failed to achieve. It had united humanity under a common cause. Ager materialized beside them, his form shimmering with what Sarah had learned to recognize as excitement. Your people continue to surprise us. We expected resistance to such radical changes in technology, yet your engineers have embraced and improved upon our designs in ways we never considered. Humans adapt quickly when we need to, Sarah replied. It's not just survival instinct, it's curiosity. Every challenge is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become something more than we were. The station shuddered slightly as another quantum core came online. Through the vast observation windows, Sarah could see dozens of ships in various stages of construction. Each one incorporated lessons learned from the last, evolving the design in real time based on simulation data and engineer insights. Message from Fleet Command. Lieutenant Park's voice came through the comm. The first wave of civilian volunteers has completed their neural interface training. They're ready to begin advanced tactical simulations. Sarah nodded, remembering her own experience with the Vanner neural interface. It had been disorienting at first, thinking in quantum probabilities instead of linear paths. But humans had adapted, learning to use the technology in ways that even surprised their alien allies. The Nexus won't expect this level of integration, Eager observed. It assumes technological advancement follows logical progression. The quantum leap your species has achieved by merging with our technology. It defies predictability. That's not all it won't expect, Sarah said, pulling up a tactical display. Show him the Chaos Protocol, Maya. Dr. Patil eagerly brought up a simulation showing a fleet of hybrid vessels in combat. As they engaged a simulated enemy, their tactics shifted randomly. Ships switching between human and Vanir combat protocols mid-battle, creating patterns that were impossible to predict or counter effectively. Impressive, Ager acknowledged. You've weaponized your own unpredictability. But the cost. We understand the risks, Sarah interrupted firmly. Neural interface synchronization at that level puts immense strain on human minds. But our pilots volunteered knowing the stakes. They're willing to push themselves to the limit and beyond. The conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. Admiral Xavier's hologram appeared in the command center, his expression grave. Long-range quantum sensors have detected something. The Nexus is moving faster than we anticipated. We may have only 3 months, not 6. A tense silence fell over the command center. 3 months to prepare for an enemy that had consumed civilizations far more advanced than humanity. 3 months to ready defenses, train crews, and perfect technologies that had never existed before. Then we work faster, Sarah declared, her voice carrying a determination that seemed to energize everyone present. We've achieved in weeks what should have taken years. We'll do it again. I'll inform the construction teams, Rodriguez said, already moving toward the exit. We'll run triple shifts if we have to. And I'll accelerate the neural interface training program, Maya added. We can compress the learning curve if we... No, Sarah interrupted. We stick to safe protocols on the training. We need our pilots at their best, not burned out before the fight begins. Eager watched this exchange with what might have been pride. You balance aggression with wisdom, urgency with caution. These are qualities the Nexus cannot easily analyze or counter. Sarah turned to the window again, watching as another hybrid ship's quantum core flared to life. Each vessel represented countless hours of human and Vanir cooperation, each one a testament to what could be achieved when different species work together. We're not just building ships, she said softly. We're building the future. One where humanity stands as equals with species like yours, where we face threats together instead of alone. If we survive what's coming, Ager reminded her. When, Sarah corrected. When we survive what's coming. Humanity doesn't believe in no-win scenarios, remember. We make our own possibilities. As if to emphasize her words, Phoenix One lit up its engines for the first time, its hybrid drive creating a display of light and energy unlike anything Earth had ever seen. It was beautiful and terrible, a harbinger of the battles to come. The Alliance wasn't just holding, it was thriving. Now they just had to hope it would be enough when the storm finally broke. The quantum sensors detected them first, a wave of distortions approaching from the outer rim, warping spacetime itself. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of Phoenix One, watching as the tactical display filled with countless red markers. The Nexus had arrived. All ships, battle stations, she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Initiate neural interfaces and prepare for Chaos Protocol implementation. Around her, the hybrid fleet moved into position. 50 ships, each representing the perfect fusion of human intuition and Vanir technology. Through the neural interface, Sarah could feel the collective consciousness of her crew, their minds linked but distinctly individual, a chaotic harmony that defied the Nexus's logical patterns. First wave approaching. Lieutenant Park announced, his consciousness brushing against hers through the interface. Their configuration is impossible. The ships are changing shape as they move. The main display showed the horror of what they faced. The Nexus vessels weren't ships in any conventional sense. They were living metal, morphing and flowing like liquid mercury. Each one was different, as if the swarm was experimenting with form and function in real time. "Remember your training," Sarah broadcast to the fleet. "Don't try to predict their patterns. That's what they expect. Trust your instincts. Embrace the chaos." The first shots were fired from the Nexus fleet, beams of energy that seemed to bend reality itself. But the hybrid ships were ready. They moved in ways that should have been impossible, their quantum drives allowing them to shift partially out of normal space-time. "Chaos protocol initiated." Maya's voice rang through the neural net. "All ships begin random tactical shifts." What followed was unlike any battle in human history. The hybrid fleet split into smaller groups, each one operating on different tactical frameworks. Some ships fought like traditional human vessels, all aggressive maneuvers and overwhelming firepower. Others employed Vanir precision strikes, targeting weak points in space-time itself. And some switched between the two approaches randomly, creating patterns that even their own allies couldn't predict. The Nexus ships faltered, their adaptive algorithms struggling to counter an enemy that refused to follow logical progression. Every time they began to adapt to one strategy, the human ships would switch to something completely different. "It's working," Ager's voice echoed through the neural interface. "Their response time is slowing. They cannot predict what they cannot understand." But the Nexus was far from defeated. As if recognizing the threat, it changed tactics. The swarm ships began to merge, combining into larger and more terrifying forms. What had been hundreds of smaller vessels became dozens of massive leviathans, each one bristling with weapons that defied physics. "All ships, fall back to secondary positions," Sarah ordered, her mind racing through possibilities. "They're trying to force us into a conventional battle, make us fight on their terms." Through the neural interface, she could feel the strain on her crew as they maintained the chaos protocol. Human minds weren't meant to operate this way, switching between different tactical paradigms at random while maintaining neural synchronization. But they held on, their determination burning bright in the quantum consciousness they shared. "New contacts." Park's alarm cut through the tactical chatter. "They're opening spatial rifts behind our lines." Sarah watched in horror as new Nexus ships emerged from tiers in space-time, threatening to encircle the fleet. The enemy was learning, adapting not just to their tactics, but to the very nature of their strategy. "This is what we planned for," she reminded her crew, pushing confidence through the neural link. "Initiate Operation Wildcard." Across the fleet, quantum cores pulsed with new energy. The hybrid ships began to move in ways that seemed to defy both human and Vanir tactical doctrine. Instead of retreating from the encirclement, they accelerated toward it. Each vessel plotted its own random course, creating a three-dimensional web of chaos that the Nexus couldn't process fast enough. "Energy spike," Maya shouted. "They're charging something big." The largest Nexus vessel, a behemoth that dwarfed even their largest hybrid ships, began to glow with an inner light that hurt to look at. Whatever weapon they were preparing, it would likely be devastating. But Sarah had one more card to play. "All ships, execute Protocol 0." Through the neural interface, she felt the shock, and then the fierce determination of her crew. Protocol 0 was theoretical, dangerous, and exactly the kind of impossibility that humans specialized in. Every hybrid ship activated their quantum cores at full power, but instead of directing the energy outward, they created a feedback loop. The space between the human fleet began to shimmer, reality itself struggling under the strain of what they were attempting. "Quantum resonance achieving critical mass," Maya reported, her voice strained. "The fabric of space-time is bending." The Nexus fired its superweapon, a beam of pure entropy that should have annihilated anything in its path. But it never reached its target. The quantum resonance field created by the hybrid fleet didn't just stop the beam. It reflected it, amplified it, and sent it cascading back through the Nexus's own ranks. The effect was catastrophic. Nexus ships began to break apart, their adaptive algorithms unable to compensate for having their own weapon turned against them in ways that violated causality itself. "Push the advantage," Sarah ordered, even as warning lights flashed across her console. "All ships, advance." The hybrid fleet surged forward, their weapons tearing into the confused and disorganized Nexus ships. It wasn't a complete victory. The enemy was too vast, too powerful for that. But it was something just as important, proof that they could be hurt, could be beaten. As the remaining Nexus ships retreated through their spatial rifts, Sarah felt the exhaustion of her crew through the neural interface. They had done it. They had faced humanity's greatest threat and proven that the impossible was possible. But this was only the first battle. The Nexus would return, stronger and more adapted than before. Yet for the first time since the war began, there was real hope. Humanity had shown that their chaotic nature, combined with Vanner technology, could achieve what pure logic could not. The storm had broken, and humanity had weathered its first test. The real war was just beginning. 3 months after their first victory, the combined human-Vanner fleet faced their greatest challenge. The Nexus had returned, but this time they brought something new. A vast computational structure that stretched across space like a web of dark energy, analyzing and countering every strategy the Alliance deployed. Commander Sarah Chen stood on Phoenix One's bridge, her neural interface humming with the collective tension of the fleet. The hybrid ships had proven themselves in countless battles, but the enemy was learning, adapting, becoming harder to surprise with each engagement. "They're trying to force order onto chaos," Ager observed, his quantum form flickering with concern. "Their analytical web is predicting our tactical shifts before we make them." Sarah watched as another squadron of hybrid ships was forced to retreat, their chaos protocols becoming less effective as the Nexus learned to anticipate even their randomness. The enemy had evolved, turning their greatest strength against them. "Maya," Sarah called through the neural link, "what's the status on Project Prometheus?" "Untested," Dr. Paddle responded, her consciousness tinged with both excitement and fear. "The calculations suggest it's possible, but the risks—" "We're out of options," Sarah interrupted. "The Nexus is adapting faster than we can evolve our tactics. We need to change the rules of the game entirely." Project Prometheus was humanity's most ambitious gambit yet, a theoretical technique that would use the quantum cores of the entire fleet to create a cascading reality distortion. It wasn't just dangerous, it violated several laws of physics that even the Vanner considered immutable. "All ships, fall back to emergence points," Sarah ordered, her voice carrying through both conventional comms and the neural network. "Prepare for synchronized quantum core activation on my mark." "Commander," Admiral Xavier's voice cut in, "if this fails, we lose the entire fleet. Earth will be defenseless." "If we do nothing, we lose anyway," Sarah responded. "The Nexus doesn't just adapt anymore, it predicts. We need to do something it can't predict because it can't comprehend it." Through the neural interface, Sarah could feel the mixture of fear and determination from her crew. They understood the stakes. Project Prometheus wasn't just a desperate gamble, it was an attempt to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their unpredictability, but their willingness to attempt the impossible. "All ships in position," Lieutenant Park reported. "Quantum core is synchronized. Reality distortion field is forming." The space between the Allied fleet began to shimmer, light bending in ways that hurt to look at. The Nexus's analytical web pulsed with increased activity, trying to understand and counter what was happening. "They're targeting the distortion field," Maya warned. "Their weapons are charging. Hold position," Sarah commanded. "Divert all power to the quantum cores. Push them beyond safety limits." The Nexus struck first, beams of destructive energy lancing toward the Allied fleet. But as the attacks hit the distortion field, something unprecedented happened. Instead of dissipating or reflecting, the energy seemed to fracture, splitting into countless possibilities. Quantum probability cascade initiated, Maya announced, her voice filled with wonder. The field it's creating multiple overlapping realities. Through the neural interface, Sarah could see it, feel it. Every ship in the fleet existed in multiple states simultaneously, their quantum cores forcing local space-time to hold contradictory realities at once. The Nexus's analytical web began to overload, unable to process a situation where cause and effect no longer followed logical progression. Now, Sarah ordered, all ships, execute final phase. The hybrid fleet moved as one, their weapons firing in perfect synchronization. But each ship fired from multiple possible positions at once, their energy beams existing in superposition until they struck their targets. The Nexus's adaptive shields, designed to counter conventional attacks, faced weapons that were simultaneously there and not there, following paths that existed in multiple realities at once. The effect was devastating. The analytical web began to collapse, its logical frameworks unable to handle the paradoxes being forced upon it. Nexus ships started to break apart, their own adaptive nature becoming a weakness as they tried to exist in multiple contradictory states. The web is failing, Ager announced, his consciousness radiating astonishment through the neural network. They cannot adapt to what they cannot quantify. But victory came at a cost. Warning alerts flashed across every ship as the quantum cores reached critical levels. Reality itself was straining under the pressure of what they were attempting. We can't maintain this, Maya warned. The cores are going to breach. Sarah felt it through the neural interface. The pain of her crew as they pushed themselves and their ships beyond their limits. But she also felt their determination, their refusal to back down even in the face of certain destruction. Redirect all power to weapons, she ordered. Everything we have, every possibility we can generate. Hit them now. The hybrid fleet unleashed their final salvo, not just weapons fire, but a cascade of quantum possibilities that tore through the fabric of space-time itself. The Nexus's remaining ships, unable to process or adapt to the reality-warping assault, began to break apart. When the energy finally dissipated, the battlefield was silent. The analytical web was gone, reduced to quantum particles that would take centuries to coalesce. The remaining Nexus ships, those that survived, retreated through spatial rifts, but their withdrawal felt different this time. Not tactical, but final. The hybrid fleet had suffered heavy damage. Many ships had lost their quantum cores, others were barely holding together. But they had achieved what the Nexus had thought impossible. They had forced chaos itself into a weapon, turned uncertainty into a force that even the most advanced analytical systems couldn't counter. As damage reports flooded in and rescue operations began, Sarah felt a profound shift through the neural interface. It wasn't just victory they had achieved, but evolution. Humanity had proven that their greatest strength wasn't their unpredictability or their resilience, but their ability to look at the impossible and say, why not? The Nexus will return, Ager said softly, but his tone carried new respect. They always do. And we'll be ready, Sarah responded, feeling the agreement of her crew through the neural link. Because that's what humans do. We adapt, we evolve, we survive. Not through logic or prediction, but through sheer determination to write our own destiny. A hybrid fleet limped home to Earth, their victory marking not just the survival of humanity, but the beginning of a new era. The alliance between humans and Vanner had created something unprecedented, a force that could challenge the very nature of reality itself. The war wasn't over, but its nature had changed. The Nexus had learned that some forces couldn't be predicted or controlled, and humanity had learned that their greatest power lay not in technology or tactics, but in their willingness to defy the impossible. As Phoenix One led the fleet home, Sarah Chen looked out at the stars and smiled. The future was uncertain, chaotic, and full of possibilities, just the way humanity liked it.